I'm intrigued by really every conference, but in particular the Big Ten. We've got a situation where Penn State came out of nowhere, surprised most of us in winning the Big Ten championship. Ohio State would by far have the best talent. The Eastern Division is loaded. We've got Michigan State. It'll be very intriguing to see if they can bounce back from 3-9. And Michigan loses 18 seniors to the NFL, most of them to the NFL. Your thoughts about an early forecast on where the Big Ten stands?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a mediocre conference from top to bottom. I really do. I think when you look at some of the teams there, I mean, Penn State, in my opinion, is the clear-cut favorite in that division in the North, over Ohio State, over Michigan, believe it or not. I do have a sleeper with Northwestern. I think Northwestern shocks everybody this year because of their quarterback, Clayton Thorson, and their running back, Justin Jackson. Just really like what Pat Fitzgerald has done there. And you look at some of their losses last year, played Ohio State tooth and nail, lost that ball game 24-20. Again, I think Ohio State takes a step back this year. A couple of factors why. I think when you look at Ohio State, obviously the defensive losses of Raekwon McMillan, Malik Hooker, Lattimore, and Conley are going to be huge losses to that defense. Again, I didn't think they were a dominant defense like they were in years past in 2014, especially when they made the national championship run. Again, I know they only allowed 15 points per game, but I don't think they were as dominant as many people thought they were. The other thing is you look at the way Clemson exploited that defense in the playoff game. I mean, that's one of Urban Meyer's worst losses in recent years. I almost call it like the Mike Tyson effect. How is Ohio State going to really bounce back from the residual effects of being knocked out by the Clemson Tigers? You look at Michigan State in 2015. They made it to the playoff, got shut out by Alabama, lost a ton of talent, and they went 3-9 the following season. I have Ohio State projected at 8-4 overall. Again, and they're still above 500. But I do think they struggle in the 2017 season because of the losses on the defensive side of the ball, coupled with the fact of I really think that Clemson exploited that defense from a speed perspective.
Joe, you think Ohio State's going to go 8-4. So they're losing to Michigan, Oklahoma. They've got Nebraska on the schedule. They've got to go to Lincoln, and they lose to Penn State, I guess.
Yeah, I have one in there. I think they could lose to Michigan State. So, I mean, the three losses that I have them, lost definite, in my opinion, for the 2017 season were obviously Michigan, was Penn State, and was Oklahoma. I think the other losses could be sprinkled in. Obviously, the other loss could be a Michigan State loss, even though Michigan State travels to Ohio State. It could be Nebraska. Again, I think they have another loss in there as well. Where it comes from exactly, I'm not sure. I just think it'll be sprinkled in there by one of those teams that you mentioned. And Nebraska is another team that obviously, can strike an upset here and there. So don't count out the Cornhuskers.
So I think you hit on one of the unheralded quarterback-running back combinations in college football. Clayton Thorson started as a freshman 2 years ago in leading the Wildcats to 10-2 in the regular season, but really struggled in the passing game. But credit the kid. He persevered, didn't have many weapons on the outside, really threatened the defense more on the ground than through the air, really developed as a passer last season. And Justin Jackson's a kid that's run for about 1,400 yards 3 consecutive years. A few people would know about that. And they go to a bowl game against Pitt and defeat a Panthers team last year that, of course, beat Clemson at one point. So Northwestern, yeah, you mentioned the game in Columbus, 24-20. They played a lot of excellent teams, extremely close, Wisconsin included, and Northwestern. The Big Ten West is just built with no dominant teams where you've got Iowa, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Northwestern. It will be extremely interesting to see who comes out of that mess of teams.
Yeah, I mean, again, Wisconsin, I think Paul Chryst did a great job last year with Hornibrook. They got back to running the football consistently. The one thing about Wisconsin overall is that in 2015, they dipped down to 150 rushing yards per game. In 2014, they averaged, 283 yards per game. In 2013, they were up around 320. or vice versa with Melvin Gordon there. And then they dripped down in 2015 to 150. Clement was banged up for much of the year. They got back to running the football consistently. I think the one thing when you look at Wisconsin overall this year, obviously Alex Hornibrook is going to be the guy. There's no longer Bard Houston there to back him up. So all the pressure falls on Alex Hornibrook. They lose some offensive linemen like Ramsick to the NFL draft this year. How's that going to affect the continuity? And again, I think defensively, you look at the two big losses to that defense, Vince Beagle and TJ Watt. Yeah, statistically, they did a great job in terms of scoring defense and in run support. But those are huge losses on the defensive side of the ball. And even though they're recruiting top 20 talent each and every year, from a team chemistry perspective, that's where I see the biggest loss. Again, I think Paul Chryst has done a great job. I just don't think Wisconsin's going to sneak up on people the way they did in 2016. And I expect some of the other teams within the conference to find other positions. So I think the conference as a whole will be more competitive.